What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are predicting our United States and Intercontinental Championship routes to WrestleMania. There's a lot of question marks right now with the IC title and the United States title. There's really different routes we can go. Today we're going to discuss 3 for each of them. Let's get started. We're going to start with the title that has been recently changed, which is the United States title. Obviously, in every 3 of these matches that we have here, LA Knight will be involved. LA Knight is likely to be the United States champion still at WrestleMania. It's just really, who is he facing? Who's the people he's going against? Or who's the person he's going against? Let's start off with the possibility of LA Knight versus Jimmy Uso. Jimmy Uso has already called his shot, and he's already said that he wants the United States championship. Or if you're looking at exact language and exact wordage he used, the United States tag titles, which hopefully he's not going for the United States tag titles and it's more of a singles run. LA Knight versus Jimmy Uso is an interesting bout because, of course, these are both baby faces. They wouldn't have a heel and babyface kind of matchup. More than likely, it's looking like we could go to a babyface on babyface with Jimmy Uso maybe picking up the win and finally getting the singles gold. But at the same time, is it a feud that a lot of people want to see? There's been question marks on Jimmy Uso just getting a shot automatically at the United States title. Do we want to see a LA Knight versus Jimmy Uso? How would we get there? Maybe it is Jimmy winning a contendership tournament or some way getting his shot at the United States Championship. More than likely, that's the route we're going to because nothing's going to warrant a Jimmy Uso and LA Knight match unless one turns heel. Let's talk about the other singles match that could be a big possibility for the United States title, and that is Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight. This match, in my opinion, is the most likely if you're looking at the true story-wise on what could happen. The only thing that could probably not allow this to happen is if they go Jacob Fatu to Solo Sikoa. Now, Solo Sikoa could be the X factor in making this match happen, or it could be the X factor in making this match not happen. Solo Sikoa, obviously, depending on what happens, could turn on Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu turn on Solo Sikoa, and they have their match at WrestleMania. But when you're looking story-wise with LA Knight and Jacob Fatu, LA Knight technically didn't really get a full good BFT, didn't use his finisher, and didn't do anything else to really deserve the title shot with US title match against Shinsuke Nakamura. Shinsuke Nakamura, actually, it looked like with Carmelo Hayes when they were going against each other in the triple threat, looked like Jacob Fatu would be his opponent. And instead, LA Knight stole the pin. LA Knight wins the US title. And now we have LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu potential. I think Jacob Fatu can use that saying, you stole my win. You stole what I would have won. That title is not yours. To get Jacob Fatu to go against LA Knight in a big matchup for the both of them at WrestleMania. Now, more than likely, it could end up with a Jacob Fatu win. Do we really want to see Jacob Fatu pinned or raid by LA Knight? I don't think the WWE wants to do that. So the best match, in my opinion, that you could get out of this US title is the star, hot-studded Jacob Fatu versus the megastar LA Knight. Yeah. But there are sharks around this title, and that's why I'm going with, and possibly could be a huge multi-man match, LA Knight versus Braun Strowman versus Jimmy Uso versus Jacob Fatu. I think it's an interesting way to protect your superstars. Let's say LA Knight, you don't want him to get pinned. Jimmy Uso, you could maybe depend on what he could do and how he could get pinned. Jacob Fatu, you don't really want him to get pinned. You clearly shown that Braun Strowman can be pinned. So maybe continue the 3, and maybe whoever wins the title is pinning Braun Strowman. Maybe Braun Strowman pins Jimmy Uso. Whatever it might be. I think this Fatal 4-Way would be an excellent way and an excellent match to really demonstrate the mid-card talent you have on SmackDown. And to be honest, this is probably the most fun you can have with the match. This is probably the best way you can have on the match. But to be honest, it might not happen because there's a lot of multi-man matches that could happen at WrestleMania. Story-wise, this is how you do it. You could go LA Knight versus Braun Strowman happens at SmackDown. Jacob Fatu might intervene, maybe with Jimmy Uso saving Braun Strowman. Then you have already a Jacob Fatu, Braun Strowman, and LA Knight kind of trifecta right there messing around. Jimmy Uso gets himself inserted into the match because he helped Braun Strowman. Maybe it's in some kind of tournament, like I said. Maybe it's him just having a singles match against somebody to get his match into that match. I don't know what it could be, but all I know is that this would be a big 4-man match that can make sense for the US title. Let's switch brands for a second and look at the Intercontinental title. Probably the most unpredictable title, other than maybe the women's IC title, that's on the brand and on of WWE. There's not really a good kind of route we could go with this title. I think the biggest thing that we've known and we're kind of getting hints at is that Penta will be in this match and get a singles feud. Yes, Rey Fenix is coming to WWE, but more than likely he will be on SmackDown while Penta's on Raw. Both getting a singles run and both really getting some moves into there and kind of big depth into their kind of characters rather than them going back to as a tag team. I think more than likely Penta will be in this match. So you can already look at Braun versus Penta. Maybe that's the match. Maybe it's just a singles match. But there was a rumor a little bit ago that no matter what, Braun Breaker's match and title will be a multi-man match. So if we know Penta is in this match, let's look at some multi-man matches that could also have Penta. Starting off for me, Braun versus Penta versus Ludwig Kaiser. I think this match would be very interesting when you look at Penta and Ludwig's kind of beef that they've had. Maybe there's something where it's a tournament to be the IC title contender. Penta and Ludwig are the final match, finishing off a little bit of a trilogy. And somehow, some way, a DQ happens. Maybe it's Pete Dunne getting in the mix. Maybe it's somebody else getting into the mix. Maybe there's just a DQ and both of them are going against Braun Breaker, which we already know Braun Breaker and Ludwig Kaiser have already had their kind of feud. Another X factor in the way of this IC title and IC title way we go into WrestleMania is the Judgment Day, but specifically for me, Dominic Mysterio. I think Dominic Mysterio could look at an IC title kind of route at WrestleMania. You could really see Penta, Braun, and maybe Dominic Mysterio as the match for WrestleMania. Dominic Mysterio is somebody that is around this IC title picture with the Judgment Day. Then you add the fact that he's been suggesting Penta to enter to the Judgment Day. It's been a question mark, but clearly Penta is not about that and does not want to be a part of Dominic Mysterio. So then now you have Dominic, you have Penta, then you have Braun Breaker, which we already know Penta and Braun Breaker have their little feuds, and Dominic and Braun have already had their matches. Maybe some way, somehow, a 3-man happens to have a little trifecta in the match. More than likely for me, I think it's going to be a 4+ match. I think Braun is, of course, in the match. I think Penta is in the match. So then there's 2 others or more that could be in the match. Let's just go around and talk about who could be in it. I just said Dominic Mysterio. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think Ludwig Kaiser makes a lot of sense to be in the IC. There's your 4. Now let's talk about the other 2 for maybe a ladder match. Finn Balor makes a lot of sense. Maybe you don't think Dom versus Finn is what's going to happen at WrestleMania. Instead, you have Finn going for the IC title that he said, and I quote, his title before even winning it. So maybe he is still going for this IC title and maybe he is going for it at WrestleMania. Then you have questions with Sheamus. Sheamus hasn't been on TV. Does Sheamus get his WrestleMania moment and really win it at WrestleMania, even though he hasn't been on TV? It's a big question mark that's been happening between the community, and I don't think it's going to happen now. I think if they really thought that he would win the title, or if he would be able to even be in this match, he would be here by now. And then you have really just question marks with AJ Styles, Logan Paul. If they have their feud, then they don't really need to be in this match. Maybe instead of them having their feud, somehow, some way, AJ Styles says, I'm going for the IC title. Logan Paul doesn't allow him to, and instead, both of them are in a multi-man match. What could happen with that? But right now, I would have to say, if you're looking at potential 6 to really be in a multi-man ladder match, you're looking at Braun, Dom, Finn, Ludwig, Penta, and then the last one's up for grabs. It could be Pete Dunne, Sheamus, AJ Styles, maybe Logan Paul, maybe Karrion Kross. What could happen? I would have to say it's a big question mark that, again, we don't really know. Let me know down in the comments below what you think will happen with the Intercontinental title and the United States title. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.